Now that the Sioux Falls city election has passed, one of the biggest talking points this year, not necessarily a new one, is voter turnout. And today we're joined by Sioux Falls Mayor Paul TenHaken to highlight this topic. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, Brian, you bet.
When it comes to low voter turnout, is there any one thing you can point to or anyone can point to and say it happened because of that?
I don't think there's any one thing. There's just a level of apathy with local elections that you see sometimes where, they don't get the coverage of a Trump v. Biden and a governor's race and a Senator Thune's race. Those federal and those national offices get a lot of attention. I think local elections sometimes just don't make it on people's radar. I also think that sometimes people underestimate the impact that local elected offices have on their day-to-day lives. With these lights coming on in the studio, your water that's turned on today, if something happens here, we have to call the cops. I mean, all those things are local decisions. All government is local. And so I don't know if there's one thing, but the trend is concerning, and I was disappointed, to say the least. I woke up this morning just really bummed out to see we didn't hit 8% turnout in the city of Sioux Falls for these elections.
Is there anything structurally that could be done? Here's what I mean by that, for example. Yesterday we had an election that included both the city council and the school board. What else could we pack into one day that would make it more relevant? I guess the question here might be, is this happening because it just simply is the way that it is and maybe can't be fixed?
Well, something I've thought about for a while, and Pierre has been looking at this too, is do we move these local elections to coincide with the primary elections? So move this election to June when we're having primaries, the county commission elections. You'll have much more on the ballot. There's pros and cons to that. I mean, the pro is you're going to get a better turnout for sure. The con is you're a little bit more cluttered in terms of your campaign coverage and signs and mailers, and you get all this stuff at once. These local office holders can kind of get lost in the shuffle. Versus yesterday, there aren't any signs in the ground except for the local elections. There aren't any billboards for candidates other than these local elections, so they have a better chance of standing out. But I think we're going to have to take a hard look at saying, do we have to move these local elections to a date that coincides with some other elections to help drive a stronger turnout?
And not that this is the fault, in quotes, or falls necessarily under the auspice of the mayor's office, but you mentioned that when you woke up this morning, you were disappointed to see what the voter turnout was. In the lead up to the election, your office wasn't shy about saying, hey folks, there's an election coming up. It involves these offices and we want you to take part.
Yeah. I think one of the challenges we have in today's media landscape, and you have a TV and a digital channel, and people use social media, and some read print, some don't, some listen to radio, some only listen to national talking head media. So reaching a voter is very hard. I mean, 15 years ago, there were 2 or 3 channels that you would go to get in front of someone. Now, it's Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, and then it's several news stations. It's this paper, but it's their print version. It's these radio shows and Sirius XM. It's so many ways you have to try and get some in front of someone because their media consumption is so diverse. I think that's hard too in making people realize that, hey, there's an election coming up. Because I talked to a lot of people who said, I didn't know that was today. It's like, yeah, that's today. Where have you been? But obviously not on the same channels that I've been, because I live in this world, so of course I knew it was coming. But I think we got to look at a better way that we continue to educate the populace on when these elections happen.
Sioux Falls Mayor Paul TenHaken taking some time to join us on Dakota News Now here. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
You bet. We'll be right back after this.